Hi guys, welcome to another video. In this video we'll be looking at this lovely Class 44. This is built by Graham Farish. This is the newer type by Bachmann, Graham Farish. I suspect a broken gear here, but what we'll do is we'll just take it over to the test track and I'll show you what we've got. Right then, so here we are at the test track. I'm just going to move it forward and backwards. She's not happy. She can hear that clicking. Now I've had a look underneath and there's nothing stuck on the wheels or anything like that. It's pretty quiet. So I'm quite happy with the motor there. The problem is that clicking, I believe, is going to be a split on one of the gears on one of the axles. It could be another gear, but what we're going to do, we'll go back over to the bench and we'll see what we can find. So we're back at the bench. The first thing you could do is actually, so the very forward and rear wheels aren't driven. What is driven are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The ones that have got all the gears running to them. Now the first check I'll do is just run my finger across the wheels, and if the wheels turn but the cog doesn't, then a gear will be split. That'll be the first check to do. This doesn't always show the problem though. However, that one's turning freely. So that one there, which will keep this end for this video, is going to be our culprit at least. So the first thing you want to do is next remove the shell. Now this is a split type chassis, and this is just a matter of lifting. I'm going to hold this piece here, and on the shell, I'm going to lift that just a little bit. And then on the other side I'll do the same. Obviously you can't see it, but I'm doing the same thing. And I'm just kind of wiggling it up, and it goes straight up and off like that. So I'm going to keep this orientation throughout. And I'm going to put the shell away somewhere safely so we don't get that damaged. And this is quite interesting. They're holding the chassis halves together with cab detail, which is quite nice. Now, the easiest way actually to do this gear, I've only removed the shell, well, partly to not destroy it, ruin it in any way, shape or form. However, I think that's still the correct thing to do, but I can change this axle without getting into the loco. So I'm going to show you that. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure I have to split the chassis in half to remove this bogey. It's quite involved. So what I'm actually going to do is this bogey frame here, this is our troubled axle. This will come off of the actual bogey itself, and down here you see that just there. If I get my screwdriver under there, it will unclip. So what I'm going to do is get the screwdriver in. I'm doing it down here though. It is quite a difficult thing to do if you've never done anything like this before. Maybe this will be easier to show you. So I'm getting the screwdriver in there, turning it, getting it in and turning it, and it's actually just popped it off. So let's come around this way again. Now this will lift off like that. Now be very careful here because there's some sandpipes details that they would hurt if you snagged your fingers on them. And also you can see just here there's a spring. That is what the coupling pushes against. Now in order for you to not lose this, you could take it out and put it back in. I'm just trying to see if why these were quite lazy earlier. I think that's just generally how they are, which is a bit not great, but I'm going to put this to one side, being careful so the spring doesn't bounce out of it. Now what I'm going to do, which is also another very interesting thing here, we need to pop this axle out, and it's only that axle and that axle that are getting power from the track, and it'll probably be the same case down this other end, so that's a bit odd. And you'll see as well here, so the front, the very forward wheel and the very rearward wheel, they're actually a different type of wheel. I believe they're the same distance apart, it's just it's a different size diameter one. Anyway, to remove this, I'm going to be pulling up and basically pushing down the bogey, and sometimes it's easier to rock these out, just like that. So I'm also trying not to squash it because it could change things, and just to, yeah, so this gear shouldn't move like that. Now what I'm going to do here, we're going to go back to the track and I'll show you, because our lumpiness should have gone now. And it's okay for me to test it on the track like this, so that's what we're going to go do, to the track. Okay, so if we've removed the broken gear, it shouldn't make a clicking noise. Sounds pretty good to me. Let's go back to the bench. Okay, so we're back, and so that is our offending gear. That's what's wrong with this loco. I thought it would be something pretty simple. The problem is now we've got to get the cog out, which that's not much of a problem. But I'm going to put this to one side so as not to damage anything. Now I thought it was about time I actually bought a proper tool, but I haven't actually got it yet. I'm waiting for the post, so there's going to be a few more videos of me getting these things apart in the naughty way. So what I've got here are blunt side snips. I'm not crushing that shaft, by the way, it's literally just holding it. And now I'm levering the two rims apart with these cutters, and it's not ideal because you can see it's lifting that rim at an angle. Not cool, don't like that. I've got a proper tool on the way, so when that comes I'll show you. But the rims and the axles come apart like this. This gear will be free to come off now, just like that. And I'm going to zoom in on here and we'll see if we can see the crack on that gear. And you can. It's just there, look. Now this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 tooth gear, which is pretty common. So the next thing will be to get a 16 tooth gear, but I'd recommend not just getting a new gear and ramming it on that shaft. So I'll zoom out here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, this is kind of for your reference and possibly mine in the future. The gear has to go down onto that very raised, that little raised piece there on the axle, and that measures 1.69mm. Now I've got a 1.6mm drill bit, and I'm going to run it through our nice new gear, and then we just push it back on the shaft and then put the wheel on, and that's job done. Or is it? It's not, because we'll have to just measure the inside of the rims. Okay, so I've got myself a drill bit. It's 1.6mm, give or take. And what I'm going to do is, you've probably seen all my other videos, if not, they're all pretty much the same. You can buy a tool which holds drill bits, okay, it's called a pin vise, and it's like a screwdriver really. I've got one of those on the way as well, because I think that helps with other things, like possibly, you know, pre-drilling holes for track pins on your layout and stuff like that. So I am investing in tools for the future. They just haven't turned up yet, and I've got a lot of locos waiting. So that's a 1.6mm drill bit. This is just over 1.6mm, this shaft. And what we're going to try and do here is push this down, which is easier said than done. because you're just doing this by hand. If you had a proper tool, it would be easier. But another thing to note here is you don't really want to ram that cog on, because it's not going on for a reason. What I'm going to do here is just effectively chamfer, so put like a 45-degree lip around that hole. Now when it hits that lumpy bit, it should go down a bit nicer. So it requires quite a lot of force to do this, but the less force the better, but it has to have a pinching force on that shaft. Okay, so off screen, sorry, I put the gear on. Some of these can be a nightmare. If you get a proper drill bit, in this case you might be better off getting, if you can, get like a 1.65mm drill bit. That'd be your better bet. And then the next thing is put the wheel on. What I find with these is, because they've got a little plastic insert in the end there, you want to push against that as much as you can. I'll just use the end of the tweezers. And we're aiming for 7.2mm behind these wheels. So I'm 7.4 there. 7 points, so it's changing. Now what you can do is roll this on a table. You want 7.2mm between the backs of the wheels, because that's what the distance is. I think that's pretty straight now. Roll it on a flat surface, and if you see the wheels wobbling, then they're not on straight. This is why you want a proper tool really to do this, because it'll push it on straight and pull it off straight. Whereas the way I do it makes me a bit cockeyed, so as long as you make sure they're running true afterwards, you're good. So anyway, that's that. And then you've got two blades down here, the contacts. There's one there and one there. Now I tend to just pop the wheel in, but can you see on here there's a plastic bit, there's a plastic bit, there's no plastic bit. So I'm going to turn that round, and then we'll have our plastic bit again. On this side there is no plastic piece, so you don't have to make them that way round, but I'm going to in this case. Before you push the wheel in and down, you've got to make sure that these are behind the wheels, keeping a bit of pressure on there, and then push it down and it's in. Also what you kind of want, this is kind of a bit out of my control at the minute, but you want the wheel to float like that. So again, before I put the bogey on, we'll go to the test track and make sure it's working okay. I'll do that, I won't show you, but you do that. In fact, I've got that much faith in it, we're just going to put this back on. You'd be probably better off doing it not this way up, but you just got to make sure that spring doesn't come out. So in our case, this front is going to, the front needs to go on those little bits poking out the front, very tiny things, these little bits. So we'll go on, and then get yourself a screwdriver, wedge it under the bogey post, so when you push down you're not going to squash everything, and it should just click on like that, and that's it, it's on. I'm just running my fingers just to, sometimes in the past what's happened is the gears held the bogey frame off, and I put it on the track and it didn't work, and basically all it was is one of the gears was catching on the frame. So what else we got? Okay, so we'll put the shell back on. I think in this case as well it'll only go one way, but because we've kept the orientation, the shell was put off screen in this way, I know that it goes back on this way. So there's also lines in the chassis which stop it getting put on the wrong way around. but it is just literally a case of finding its where it wants to be and just going on with it, pushing it down. And that's back together, that's it. That's definitely on now. So let's go back to the track and see what we've got. Okay, so we're back at the track, and let's just change our point. Yeah, she's absolutely running a treat. One thing I do notice is the 44. It looks quite quick on screen, but it's actually not that fast. But I don't know if crawl good. This is just DC. Oh. Pretty good crawl. And also, I'll just move the camera. So this is a radius, I think 1 point with curves coming off of it all the way around, but it doesn't go anywhere. So it's the ST5 by Pico set track. Bearing in mind how long this train is, it has no issues doing it. Just trying to move the light over. Yeah, she is running an absolute treat. So I'd say she's good. But I'm going to call it there on the video, and just tune into the next video really. I just wanted to show you a gear change on a Class 44. I won't run it around the track with anything, that can come later. Because I've got more trains to fix. So in fact actually, this 101 in the background needs attention. It's probably a gear issue again. It might not be, but that would be pull type. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.